Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good afternoon to
Waalaikumsalam.
everyone. Okay, we can start our lecture now. Okay, I'm using this flip chart. I think this will be easier to control the flow of the lecture. Now, what we are going to cover today is can be considered as part of ornithology. The word is ornithology. O-R What is ornithology? Ornithology is the science of or the study of birds. Study of birds, ornithology. Just like ichthyology refers to the study of fish. Herpetology refers to the study of amphibian and reptile. And of course, mammalogy refers to the study of mammals. So we will cover some of the features of the Ban-Aul, which we have discussed yesterday, as one of the most effective natural predator on rat. And that's why it is considered as a not just a potential, but a proven natural predator for the purpose of biological control of rat in almost every environment, be it in the natural environment, agriculture environment. And now we are moving into the role of Ban-Aul to control rats in the urban environment, in the town and the cities. Yeah. Although it is still in the experimental and investigative stage, but given the right setting, propagation strategy, I think the Ban-Aul can be a potential predator for control for rat control purpose in the urban areas. So let's look at the features of the Ban-Aul. Okay, this is a schematic presentation of the facial disc of the Ban-Aul. Muka hadapan burung pungguk. Okay, just to remind you, the scientific name is Tyto alba, Tyto Laba, Tyto alba. Although there has been a review, suggestion that the name should be reviewed to Tyto javanica, thought to have originated from the island of Java. And Tyto alba can be found all over the world. The word is cosmopolitan. So this bird can be found everywhere around the globe, in Europe, in Africa, in Asia, of course, in both the Americas, North and South America, and Australia, the Oceania, except for some of the remotest island in the Pacific and the South Pole, Antarctica. Otherwise, you can find this bird anywhere. And the species name is Tyto alba, and there has been a suggestion, and in fact has been accepted by convention. The species, it's not a subspecies anymore, but it is considered to be a new variant, a new species in Southeast Asia, which is called Tyto javanica. Okay. I'm sure you have a look at the some of the images or pictures of the Ban-Aul. So look at the facial disc. This is as if we are looking head on, kita melihat pada di hadapan burung pungguk. These are the two eyes. And one of the special feature of the barn owl, in fact, any owl for that matter, is that it can turn its head, yeah, almost 360 degrees. So as if you can on occasion find an owl whereby the head is actually facing backward, which can be quite scary if that happens in a human being. Yeah? But that is one of the special feature that allows a raptor. A raptor is a bird of prey, a burung pemangsa, that strike and catch its prey by its talons, kuku kaki dia, kuku kaki. So that is okay. So it increase the field of vision for the owl to scan the area for any potential prey. And this type of vision is called the binocular vision. Binocular vision, whereby the eyes is facing forward, and it can covers whatever the field in front of it almost wholly, and then the ability to turn its head almost 360 allow a complete 360 degree vision of its surrounding area. Now, consider the eyes of other birds. So, like, for example, what do we have? The magpie, the apa ni, gagak. So these birds actually, the eyes are placed by the side. Yeah? They are placed by the side. So the eyes are placed by the side. Not forward looking, but it can see sideways. So it will cover almost, but not almost 360 degrees of the surrounding in order for it to detect an approaching predator. So we can see both birds, either the raptor, bird of prey, or the prey itself. They have their own specialty in terms of scanning the environment or the surrounding area. One to find prey, and the other one to avoid predator. Okay. So that is one of the first feature of the barn owl. Number two, the facial disc itself, yeah, which is shaped like a Valentine, V shape. And this is quite peculiar for the barn owl. You don't find this in any other owl, yeah, except for the barn owl and its close allies, ataupun spesies yang berhampiran dengannya. Others have a rounded face, rounded facial disc. But the barn owl, they have this V-shaped facial disc that is actually turning inward, and thereby can collect or direct sound from the surrounding towards it. Okay, so it does not reflect or deflect sound coming to the owl, but actually gathers the sound, bringing in the sound and directed it to the ear opening. So that is one special feature of the owl that gives it a lot of advantage in looking or actually hunting for its prey. That's number two. And then the third one is, if we look at the position of the ear opening. In our case, we have our pinna, P-I-N-N-E, and that is down telinga gitu. They don't have pinna, but they have an eye opening. And this eye opening, the right and the left is not on the same plane. It's not on the same plane. The line of hearing, not on the same plane. And by having that skewered position of the eye opening, one is above and the one below. If we cut across, so have one of the ear opening is positioned above, and the other ear opening, where actually the left ear opening is positioned downward. And there is a reason for that. It can pinpoint the source of sound from its exact origin. Okay, in our case, because our ear opening, our ears actually positioned at the same plane, we can hear sound clearly, but we do not have the ability to actually detect where the sound comes from. Exactly. So with this capability, the owl, in fact, can hunt in complete darkness just by relying from the source or the origin of the sound, the ruffling of the grass, for instance. So it can pinpoint the position of the prey and pounce on it by surprise. So these are the capabilities or the special ability of the owl that gives it an edge to hunt its potential prey. So that's number one. Now I'm taking you to the features of the wings. So this is the profile of the owl from above. Okay. So this is the head and the beak. This is the tail. And you compare the body length, okay, which stands from the beak to the tail end. Compares it with the wingspan from the wingtip of the right wing to the wingtip of the left wing. So we see that the ratio of the wingspan to the body length is positive, substantially positive. In other words, the wingspan is much longer than the body length. So with such a ratio and arrangement of the body plan, the barn owl can fly effortlessly, almost effortlessly, just by a single flap, and then it can glide. Yeah. What is gliding? Gliding is it's like a kite. There's a word for that. It slipped my mind, but everyone knows what is gliding. A glider, it just glides. So you don't have to flap the wing. It's in a static position, and then the object or the glider can fly through the space. So it takes little wing flapping. So what happens when you do not flap when you fly? So you produce little sound, or you can fly sound without giving out any sound. And that will catch the prey by surprise. As it dives onto the prey, it came to the prey as a surprise, so it is like death coming silently from above. So that is the reason why the barn owl is very successful and rarely miss its prey. And this gives it an advantage of hunting its prey, especially during the breeding season, whereby the male, normally the male will go out and hunt for prey, and it can forage over one night, maybe from in the late evening up to until before midnight, because that's when rats are most active, when there is some light, because a rat may avoid total darkness, especially after midnight, during the darker nights, not during full moon. So it can bring up to 10 prey home and prey its and feed its young. In fact, normally it brings a surplus of prey, more than what the brooding pair, pasangan yang apa ni, yang mempunyai anak, to sustain themselves. So this is one of the great feature that allows the barn owl to be an effective predator. Look at the wing flap. The wing flap. Because the wingspan is so long. It has a long wingspan. So you look at the wingtip here, it doesn't have to flap so much. So as a result, the consequence is little air turbulence. Little air turbulence. And therefore, it does not create a lot of rufflings on the ground, especially if it is hunting over the rice field. So it will not disturb the landscape, the undergrowth, and also the shrub that covers the landscape. So it creates little turbulence. In comparison to a bird with a very short wingspan, relative to the length of the body, the ratio is small. Therefore, the wing will have to flap harder and more frequently, faster, thereby creating a lot of turbulence. Turbulence ni ialah macam apa, angin. Create greater turbulence and therefore much disturbance on the ground, whether it's a shrub or it's a rice field. It causes rufflings, and this will alert the prey. And this also, I would like to add this point also. If you look at an aeroplane, this is the wing of an aeroplane. And in order for the plane to have a very stable flight, normally the wingspan is a little longer. It's a little longer, although not as long as the profile of the barn owl. But in order not to create turbulence during its uplift, when it is taking off or descending, it has a clip here, a clip, thereby reduce the consequence of air turbulence, which makes the aeroplane unstable and can roll over. So they learn this from the bird, especially the eagle. If you look at the eagle, it flies in that manner. The wingtip actually actually pointing upward, thereby creating a clip. That's why we have a Boeing 747 clipper, no longer in use, not much in use nowadays. But if you take an aeroplane, if you fly, if you look at the window, if you sit at the window and you can look at the wing, it has this clip. Yeah? So that helps the plane to be stable and not roll over. Okay, the next point is the owl has a very soft feather. Very soft feather. And therefore, when it flies, it does not create much resistance and thereby little ruffling. So again, this adds on to the ratio, the positive ratio, a substantially positive ratio of the wingspan to the body length. Yeah? So the owl can fly very silently through the air and approach its unsuspecting prey. So I always call this as death coming down silently from above. So these are the reasons and the features that makes the barn owl an efficient predator of rat. Okay, now I want to discuss about the population prey dynamics of the prey and predator relationship. Okay, we do this in the form of a graph. Okay, this is a graph of the predator-prey relationship. Yeah. So this is the population dynamic of the prey. So it does not fluctuate much because we are considering this in the tropic. It is a tropical climate. So there is not much change in temperature. The temperature does not fluctuate much. And there's a lot of rain whole year round, although there could be a prominent season in some places. So this is a prey population dynamic. So this is time. So this can be months in a year, or it can even be years, over 1 decade, for instance. And this is, we have learned, I'm not sure whether I have explained to you, the concept of K. Okay, K is basically the carrying capacity. What does carrying capacity means? It means that the maximum number of population size of a particular species that the environment can sustain. Okay, berapa banyak bilangan individu dalam sebuah spesies, dalam satu spesies yang boleh ditampung oleh suatu persekitaran ataupun habitat. So this is considered to be the optimum level. Okay, the K value, and the species is limited by space, by food, by logistics for nesting, dihadkan populasi itu, saiz populasi itu dihadkan oleh sumber makanan, tempat untuk bersarang dan sebagainya. Otherwise, they can go more than its carrying capacity, depending on the habitat. Of course, this is quite high because we are referring to the tropical environment, and this is a tropical habitat. And so this is the prey. This is the predator. The one in red is the predator. So this is a predator. It can be any predator. And the predator population dynamics actually follows closely the population dynamic of the prey. And in so doing, it helps to cap the carrying capacity of the prey population. Dia boleh menghadkan, kehadiran pemangsa akan menghadkan bilangan ataupun saiz populasi mangsa. Otherwise, the K value of the prey will be much higher. Okay, it would be much higher. Let's say it could be up here, in a situation whereby there is no predator. Okay. Now, this is the typical prey population, predator-prey relationship. Predator-prey relationship. Okay, now consider the next scenario. Okay. Again, in the tropical area. Okay, this is what I call assisted predation. Assisted predation. What does assisted predation mean? It means that you assist the predator. Kita tolong pemangsa itu by providing the necessary logistic, menyediakan kemudahan. Now, let us consider a particular case, di Ban Aur. Okay, now the Ban Aur, it is limited by logistic, by nesting facility. Dia tidak mempunyai banyak pilihan. Because the owl, when they want to nest, they have to do so atas loteng. There's empty space between the ceiling and the roof of building made of wood. We used to have this a lot in the rice field. In the olden days, we have the surau, the balai raya, even houses that is made of wood planks or wood, and the design is such that between the ceiling and the roof you have an empty space, and that's where the owl build its nest. So as you can see, it creates disturbance, a lot of noise, and people will normally shoo them away. Yeah. As a result, nesting is an issue for the Ban Aur. Now, even in a natural habitat, where do they normally nest? They nest in the holes of an old tree stump, lubang dalam pokok yang sudah mati, and that is hard to come by, sukar untuk ditemui. So the numbers are very low. So what happened in the rice field? You facilitate, or you assist the Ban Aur by building facilities. You overcome the logistic issue. You build nest boxes. These are the nest boxes. You can see this in the rice field, as well as in the oil palm plantation. So they all casually use them, readily use them. And we put up these nest boxes in an arrangement of every one box, every 40 hectares in the oil palm, or even at a higher density, one box every 20 hectares. Or in the rice field, you can put up nest boxes as dense as 1 box every 10 hectares. So it boosts the population. So when the population of the barn owl increases drastically, what happened? So let's predict the outcome. So you have the rat population, which is very high in the rice field, or in the oil palm, or even in the city. Let's say 450 in the rice field, about 350 in the oil palm, and maybe the same equal number in the city, because you don't see them, because they are living, or they are inhabiting the sewer, the sewer pipes, the underground, the crevices along the monsoon drain, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So you increase the K of the owl. This is the owl. Very high. Because when we put up 100 boxes, for instance, the occupancy is close to 80%. 80 boxes are occupied with the owl. So it boosts the population of the local owl population. So this is the original K, which is very few in numbers. So you can see the tremendous increase in number. Okay. From the original K, we call this K1, this is the original K, and this is the K2. As a result of the provisions of nest boxes. So originally, without the owl, let's say this is K rat, which is about or even higher, a little bit higher than the owl. This is K rat. This is the original K for the rat population in the absence of the owl. Now, in the presence of the owl, and the population is boosted so much, what happened? You will see the rat population will decline steeply as a result of the predation of the owl. Okay, and it will fluctuate more violently over time. This is the rat. So since the population dynamic of the rat actually follows the phenology or the developmental stage of the rice crop or the oil palm, the production of the fresh fruit bunch, for instance. Yeah. So with the presence of the owl, it brings down the rat population, especially when the rice field is in the stage of tillering, booting, peringkat padi susu, and then just before harvesting. So it brought down the rat population so much that the crop loss is also substantially reduced. So you can see the difference, the radical difference between a situation whereby there is no predator to a situation whereby there is an effective predator. Not in this case, not that there is no predator, but there is not one predator that is capable or is as efficient to remove as many prey as possible. This situation, it brings down the rat prey. In fact, over time, you will see this. The rat population will actually, this is called the peak, and this is called the trough, T-R-O-U-G-H. As time goes by, if you are able to sustain the owl population, you will see the peak becomes lower and lower over time. Comes lower and lower over time. But although the population crash, this is called crash. The population actually crash, merudu. But since the owl has the ability to adjust its predation rate, so it does not lead to crash. It does not lead to a complete crash or disappearance of the prey. Okay, when there is not sufficient prey, the owl will reduce its nesting capacity. When there is a lot of prey, there's many prey around, and the owl will produce a clutch size of sometimes 10 eggs per clutch. But in a situation when there is not many prey around, so it will reduce its clutch size to around even 2 or 3. So that the rate of consumption is lower, and it will not over-harvest the prey to the point of local extinction. So it allows the prey to recover, but not to a peak, to the size of the previous peak. So it may bring down the rat population to perhaps even 10% of its original population size. Okay, the last part that I want to touch is on the status of the barn owl as a generalist predator. So the generalist predator. What is a generalist predator? A predator that consumes any available prey. It doesn't selectively choose its prey, but any prey that is available will be consumed. Prey of a certain features lah. Okay. Now let again see the scenario in the tropical climate, in the tropical habitat, where prey is available all year round. So this is a situation, a normal situation in a natural habitat. So the predator will follow the population dynamic of the prey. Now in the tropics, the population of the prey is relatively high all year round. So there's enough prey. So that's why you see the barn owl will go for the most common prey, which is a rat. And rat actually constitute anywhere from 98 to more than 99% of its prey. Okay, so it doesn't have to switch to the other prey. But does it seems to be selective on rat prey? That is not selective, just that the rat is available. So they don't have to actually look for other kind of prey. It's a generalist predator. Now compare that in a temperate area. So you have the rat, you have the vole, not actually rat, the mice. You consider two kinds of prey. So this is a typical population dynamic of the rats. Okay. This is a summer and this is winter. Now during winter, I will use the red marker. Okay, so this is the vole. So during the warmer period, the summer period, the summer season, rat will be the main prey. And during the colder season, from fall to the end of winter, vole will be the prey. So you see the owl has the habit of actually switching prey, okay, depending on which of the prey is more available in the environment. Okay, now what the question is, how do you know that the owl is actually preying almost exclusively on rats, almost 100%. Okay, all owls, remember this, all owls, eagles, halang, a bird of prey in general, these include vultures, falcons, what have you, kites. When they consume the prey, they will swallow the prey whole. They will swallow the prey whole. And then they will digest the soft tissues and the hairs and the bones will not be digested, and it will be processed in the shape of a clump, the size of our thumb, finger, thumb. Yeah? And it's called a pellet or a casting. So once the soft tissues have been digested, this pellet or cast is carved out, thrown out in the form of a pellet the size of your thumb. Okay, so which constitute of a mass of hairs and bones. So we collect these pellets or casts, and then we process them, and if there is a skull present, the skull will help us to identify the species. If it is a rat, what species it is. If it is not a rat, is it a common shrew, insectivorous, or even a squirrel, or even a bird, which is very few and far between. If you collect 1,000 of these pellets, then perhaps 990 constitute of rest, and the remaining 10 are a mixture of frog, maybe lizard, maybe burung pipit, squirrel, and so on and so forth. So that is the specialty or the unique features of the barn owl that enables it to be a very effective predator in controlling rats in almost every environment, has been proven beyond any doubt in the plantation areas, not just oil palm and rice field, but also in the sugar cane or pineapple in Australia, in South Africa, in the cocoa fields. So any agricultural habitat that attracts a huge population size of rat, then the barn owl can sustain itself and forages in that habitat throughout the year, and not only in the tropical region but also in the temperate areas, whereby it can switch prey depending on the season or the climate. So I guess there's 10 more minutes to 4 p.m. If you have any question, please you can ask here. You can ask now. So can I have the first question? Anything that you might not be sure of from my explanation? I may have confused some of you. So please, or is there any part that you do not understand? Because this is the most important part, rather than lecturing on the facts of the features or the physical features of the owl, the distribution. Those are the information that you can look up, but the understanding the dynamics, the science of it, is the more important part. Any question?
Doktor,
Yes.
saya just nak confirmation lah apa yang saya fahamkan. Jadi daripada yang graf yang doktor tunjuk ni, maksudnya bila population mice tu menurun, jadi owl tu dia akan cari another prey, macam tu.
Betul.
Okay. Lepas tu bila yang another prey punya population menurun, dia akan back to mice balik, macam tu lah.
Betul. Sebab dia bukan specialist. Ya, kalau specialist ni, dia hanya akan menumpuk pada satu jenis mangsa saja. Jadi kalau mangsa tu tak ada, bilangan dia pun menurun dan dia terpaksa berhijrah ke tempat lain. In this case, dia hanya perlu tukar makanan. Ya. Dan bilangan dia tidak berkurang dan dia tidak perlu berhijrah keluar ke tempat yang lain. Okey? Itulah yang menjadikan migration tu. Kita tengok migration from the north to the south hemisphere. Sebab pada musim dingin, bila kutub utara musim dingin, kutub selatan musim panas. So predator atau pemangsa yang mencari makan di hemisfera utara akan berhijrah ke hemisfera selatan supaya dia boleh mencari makan pada musim panas, dan dia akan pulang balik macam tu. Okey? Tapi pada barn owl, they don't have to. Dia tak perlu berbuat demikian. Faham
Faham.
Okey. Ada soalan kedua? Saya boleh buka lagi, taklah semestinya pukul 4 kita kena berhenti. Any question from the first flip chart.
Doktor, saya ada satu lagi soalan.
Sila.
Maksud doktor yang generalist predator tu, maksudnya apa jenis prey pun?
Generalist.
Tak semestinya rat dan mice.
Generalist umumnya, generalist ni maksudnya dia pemangsa umum. Dia bukan ada makanan yang tertentu. Okey, dia tidak ada maknanya mangsa pilihan. Maksudnya mangsa tu tak ada pun dekat situ atau bilangannya kecil, dia tetap memburu mangsa tu. Walaupun ada mangsa lain yang bilangannya jauh lebih banyak. Faham? Generalist. Itu maksudnya. Itu maksudnya spesialis, silap. Itu maksudnya spesialis, ya. Maknanya ditumpu kepada satu jenis mangsa saja. Walaupun bilangan mangsa tu sedikit. Tapi kelebihan generalis ni, dia makan semua. So bila mangsa yang banyak tadi, bilangan dia banyak tadi berkurang, maka dia akan beralih kepada mangsa yang lain. Itu menjadikan dia lebih, kita panggil lebih lestari lah. Fleksibel. Ya. Lebih anjal. Berbanding dengan yang ini. Oleh kerana dia generalist, dia tak perlu maknanya bila bilangan tikus kurang, maka dia tak ada makanan. So what happen? Dia switch pada bowl. Yeah. So dia tetap ada makanan. The supply of food is not affected at all. Faham
Faham betul.
Okey. Boleh nanti saya rekod kuliah ni. Nanti boleh dengar balik. Yang bagi saya yang penting ialah the science behind it. Bukan maknanya kita macam menghafal berapa peratus tikus dekat sawah padi, dekat kelapa sawit, berapa bilangan rupa bentuk tikus, rupa bentuk itu you can always look up, boleh rujuk. Google, Wikipedia pun banyak. Any other question? Learning will be much more interesting if there is question and answer. Ada lagi?
Doktor?
Ya, saya.
Owl ni dia generalist, dia tak perlu berhijrah dengan kerap lah kan doktor?
Tak perlu. Tak perlu sebab yang pertama, bilangan dia banyak masa tikus banyak. Ya? Tapi bila tikus kurang, bilangan telur dia pun dia adjust, kurang. Bilangan telur kurang, bilangan anak pun kurang. Bandingkan 10 ekor berbanding 2 ekor ataupun 3 ekor. Jadi dia akan adjust berdasarkan kepada bilangan tikus yang ada di situ. Kalau dia terpaksa keluar pun, dia tak perlu pergi macam haiwan yang saya sebut tu tadi. Yang hidup di hemisfera utara, berhijrah ke hemisfera selatan, kan? Terpaksa melalui transatlantic, dia panggil apa? Transcontinental migration. Migrasi merentas benua. Daripada Jepun, Siberia, kemudian ke Australia. Kemudian begitulah pulang balik. Sebab tu kita tengok kita punya habitat hutan paya ni, paya bakau ni sangat penting sebab dia tempat persinggahan burung-burung tu. Yang terbang daripada Siberia nak menuju Australia tu, dia singgah untuk makan makanan yang disediakan in the rich mangrove banks at the estuary and also especially in the west coast. Macam Sepang, macam Kuala Gula, macam Kuala Selangor, macam Lukut. These are important feeding spots for the migratory birds. Satu lagi fakta yang saya nak sebut dekat sini, anak burung punggung ni dia tidak menetas serentak, bukan macam anak ayam. Bukan macam anak ayam. So you have a situation whereby Ini anak burung ada yang kecil, besar sikit, dan yang paling besar. Sebab apa? Sebab dia tak menetas serentak. Dia akan menetas setiap 2 atau 3 hari. So anak burung pungguk ni ada abang long, ada abang ngah, macam itulah sampai asyu, yang paling kecil. Jadi bila tikus banyak, siapa yang dapat dulu? Ni lah kan. Sebab dia berdiri paling tinggi, dia menganga, dia berdiri paling tinggi, dia dapat makan sampai dia kenyang. Tapi disebabkan tikus banyak, yang ini pun dapat juga. Yang ini pun dapat juga. Yang ini pun dapat juga. Last, semua hidup. Nah, kalau tikus tak banyak, what happen? Yang ini saja dapat makan, yang ini tak dapat, ni tak dapat, ni tak dapat. So yang hidup, 1. Jadi dia adjust. Bilangan dia berdasarkan bekalan makanan. So it adjusts its population size based on the availability of food. And this is a mechanism. It has a survival value. Walaupun nampak kejam, the younger ones dies off when food is scarce. But it is important for the long-term survival of the owl in the long run. Okay? Faham ya? Ada lagi soalan? Yes? Ada, tak ada? Banyak dah kan tadi. I think it's quite apa? Tepu jugalah kan? Dah tepu dah kot dengan apa ni yang kita cover pada hari ni. So this is very important. Please pay attention. So kalau dalam final nanti, this is the sort of question that I will ask. Understanding the principles behind it, the science behind it is the most important aspect dalam in this course, in fact any other course taught at the university. Okay, kalau tak ada lagi, boleh indicate your presence at the chat. At the chat forum, indicate just hadir ataupun present. That will be considered as your attendance for today's session. Okay? So terima kasih semua atas perhatian. So kita bersurai dekat sini setakat ni. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih semua.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Okey.